Hi, everyone. You're watching episode 82 of Yield TV. That's the sort of energy every guest needs to bring. Here we are. Well, hey, welcome back, everyone. It's Tuesday, March 2nd, 2021. Today, we're going to be talking with Alex, who is the CTO and co-founder of dfuse. And I'm excited to do this interview because we tend to cover a lot of the front end of DeFi applications and NFTs. So we're going to talk more in the context today of a platform that's very helpful to builders. So we're going to learn specifically about, so dfuse is designed to provide the fastest and most reliable blockchain data stream of both historical and real-time data. And we're going to dig into all of that and what that means, but that's my quick and dirty summary of it. So on that note, Alex, welcome to Yield TV. How are you doing?
Very good. Thank you. Thanks for having me here.
Got a fellow DeFi dad here today. So you have, before we even get started, how many children do you have again?
We could call me a DeFi dad, but you have a good title there. I'll leave it to you. I have 7 kids from 3 months to 11 years. So they're pretty young yet.
Oh my gosh. I have 2 and I lose my mind. And you were telling me this before we got on. You were telling me you actually do a family vlog about this.
Yeah, we have a family vlog. Yeah. It's called the Bourget Odyssey on YouTube. So
really?
Most of it's in French.
It's in French, yeah. So, gosh, we're going to talk all about dfuse, but I want to touch on along the way, how that's informed your marketing of dfuse and how you've built community, because you were talking to me about you've led with content first, and I think that of everything here, it's the most transferable story to every single team in crypto. But let's start from the beginning of how did you get into crypto in general, and then when did you start building dfuse? Right.
So let's say the backstory is I started coding when I was 12. Always dabbled in code. I was doing that in a book with a pen, right? Coding, then punching it in a computer at home. And then I went on and studied classical piano. So graduated in classical piano rather than computer science, but always kept grinding on my software chops. And eventually I founded a startup in 2013 called BitCredit's first Canadian Bitcoin payment processor. So got into Bitcoin at that point. I read the white paper, I remember, around 5th of March in 2013. And I said, wow, that can actually work. And I started going down the rabbit hole, founded that company, and there was no Bitcoin payments at that point. So we folded that and eventually reached a point where I became data scientist at Intel, where my co-founder of today's business had sold his company. So we reconvened there, ran the data science, so built data systems for crazy amounts of data. And then we decided we'd get back into blockchain, but always with the aim of building data products, building something about the blockchain data, because data is the new oil. Well, you want to oil the blockchain data because there's a lot of things that want to go and be very fluid in that space, especially DeFi and liquidity. So it needs to be oiled in a way. So, and then we got to found dfuse, always with the goal again of building data products. And the story of that here is that we started by being validators on some network, became very well known. We orchestrated launches of networks, and then I remember 200 people on calls, and we were sort of leading that aspect socially. And also we became some of the top validators there, and we actually, like you said, asked that let's say positioning on content, where we would provide videos teaching people how things worked more on a technical side, right? While we were building the dfuse product, and to make the blockchain data available extremely simply. And with APIs, we always wanted to think outside the box and say, from first principles, how would we as data scientists want to query blockchain data? And then we hit all sorts of wonky walls, because blockchains are wonky databases. You can query them, and then an instant after, things are not true anymore. There's some intricacies as how people reach consensus. So we wanted to provide endpoints that are very simple to use, and that's what we did with dfuse. And during 3 years, we built that product. And today, I guess we can talk about what came out of that?
Yeah. I have to ask, is there like something in the water in Canada where you live? Like there are so many founders in DeFi, crypto in general now, and I like joking aside, I didn't realize this until I started working with Zapper. Most of our team's based in Canada, and
Right.
yeah, I don't know if anyone has like ever said like, yeah, I'm going to build the next $1 billion startup, and where are you moving? Silicon Valley? No, I'm moving to Canada. You're like, oh, good. Seriously, the world we're living in now with remote work, like it's kind of delightful to see people being able to live like a higher quality life and like kind of forget these regional boundaries of like, hey, I got to go live in Silicon Valley. So anyways, yeah, it's exciting. There's so many founders there, and I would highly recommend like people look into possibly moving to Montreal and Quebec, and there's so many cool places.
There's a lot of places I know, like Toronto has been a big hub. I remember going there, Bitcoin Expo, and we were the provider for payments for the Bitcoin Expo, and over there, like Ethereum was just design stage. I remember seeing that horrible Geth client was a GTK client and we never saw it, I think. And the guys were there, right, in Toronto. Vitalik was there, and then there was a lot of things cropping up. Vancouver, we're in Montreal, based in Montreal, and a lot of things. I emceed the first, Bitcoin embassy meetups over there. Like it was very early. That was starting to crop up, and then Miami had a Bitcoin meetup, and not just a meetup, a Bitcoin embassy, a place dedicated to Bitcoin with the on the street, a sign on the street there. Exciting time. So I think Canada has a lot of things, and there's a lot of things happening. I'd say in Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, blockchain related. Good project.
Yeah, that's where we've got teammates scattered across. So no, makes sense. Why don't we talk then more about dfuse? So what exactly like led you all to build it? Like, I want to dig into like what is the problem that you're trying to solve, and even to like not that you need to, I guess, explain the difference with those that have preceded you, like that are competitors. But yeah, I'd love to know like what you're actually building upon to make it a better product.
Right. So maybe I'd talk about some of the things that are more pertinent to your audience here, because we've built systems to synchronize databases, and we have search engines that are blockchain aware and that are able to real-time search, but understand the resolution of reorganization. Some things maybe your audience doesn't care about. But some things that we built specifically when we crossed over to Ethereum, and we observed what were the needs there. And we observed the need for an increasing need for speed, an increasing need for data, for more data, for richer data. So we went on to attack that, but also about knowing what is currently happening in the blockchain, right? What is currently in the mempool? What's going to happen in the next block? And a lot of people, like speculators, arbitragers, they're building bots to understand, okay, what's the next move, right? What is the current best opportunity there, and how can I like predict? For better predictions, you need better data, faster speeds. So that's where we built dfuse's speculative execution engine and the mempool tracker. We called it the states tracker, or transaction states tracker, which provides, and we're happy with that because we made it a super simple endpoint. Like you connect to it with the program, and it sends you the information. And that's one thing we're actually really happy. We measured recently, we can provide data from the chain up to 2.3, 2.4 seconds faster than your other friends, like Infura, Alchemy, and the other providers out there. And because of the way we've designed things, like the nodes race to provide data, instead of having a big pool to which you're connected, and then there's propagation delays. So, there's ways we architected things that make it really, in the end, 2 seconds, 3 seconds faster. So some of our customers, they come there, they want to have an edge. The edge is speed and then richer data, and we provide that edge on those two fronts. And so we've been really uncompromising on the data and the depth of the data. So people right now rely on our streams to get instantly, for example, updates in reserves for Uniswaps. You want to know, oh, there was a transaction that affected a reserve. Well, you want to know, you can analyze it, and you know exactly what the reserve was at that point in the middle of a block, and you can use that in your algorithm to see how things have moved inside a single block, right? So you get that level of granularity extremely fast. So we've seen people build crazy bots with that, and we have done so ourselves just to explore and make sure that we do provide the best service. So I think that's one of the aspects that we built with dfuse that is very pertaining to this audience. And yeah, and then I can talk a little bit later about the streaming fast aspect of the rest of it. That's really for mempool tracking.
Yeah, why don't we talk about that right now? And is this a good time to start sharing your screen? Because
if you want, yeah, I can share it when we talk about the.
Yeah, whenever, just to help talk through what the product is. We had on Matt Cutler from Block Native before, and so I think there's a mix of people hopefully watching this where there's folks like me who aren't a developer but maybe a heavier user of DeFi, and you can appreciate what it takes to get a transaction through versus those that are actually battling the mempool. So yeah, no, I'd love to learn what this other product, the streaming fast one, you're talking about.
Okay, but you said something that piqued me because you were talking about Block Native, and Block Native does some of the aspects of the mempool. But one thing I named, which I didn't detail here, is we added there speculative execution. So not only will we give you, when you're tracking the mempool, what's happening right now, and you have a big boatload, 100,000 transactions are going to come your way, we'll actually execute them speculatively. So that means, if there's a transaction that says withdraw, or, I don't know, stake or something, but maybe it has some side effects that will do a transfer, hit a Uniswap pair, that might influence your trading decisions. So by having it speculatively executed, it means, what would the output look like if it were executed right now? While the miner is preparing his next block, it's not there yet, but what would it look like? And we're sending that back to you immediately. So you can actually learn about, some potential ERC20 transfers that are going to happen, some reserves going to be unbalanced and things like that. So that doesn't exist in the other competing offers, right? So speculative execution of use, that's really cool. And we've seen people do some extremely edgy things because you have more data, right? We provide more data. Not only is it the fastest, you get the fastest when it's in the block, it 2-3 seconds faster. So that can have a better algorithm. And speed is very important in this space, as you guys know.
And if we're thinking about the newest user that's just getting started on Zapper, do you envision any products being built with that? Because one of the things that we're always talking about is the composability of everything that exists in Ethereum, and so folks are excited to build that next product. But yeah, any ideas you've had about what they could be doing with that?
Why was I excited by data? It's because a blockchain is a database. Its value lies solely and entirely in its data, the data that is produced and that is secure. And when you have access to blockchain data that is pristine, solid, fast, and complete, you can build all the things that are possible to build on a blockchain. There's nothing else. Think of all the applications that can be built, all the experiences, all the UIs, the dashboards, the layer 2 connectivity, all these things, they just feed on blockchain data. So, I couldn't name a few use cases, but trading bots, connecting, building bridges to chains. And that will come maybe when we're talking about streaming fast here, because we've identified especially some very fundamental needs that entice us and encourage us to actually decentralize this platform into what we would call a network of data extraction and provisioning. So that would enable all the things that I said at extremely lower cost, but also, solve some real problems for layer 2s, solve some real problems for bridges by providing richer data, but in a secure way. We can dig into that a little bit too, but I can present the streaming fast.
Absolutely, yeah. Actually, once you start sharing, I'll let you know.
Okay. I'm gonna share that. So this page is about streaming fast in particular. Okay, streaming fast is the brand we've put out for Ethereum. You see that properly?
Yeah, there we go. Yep, I can see it.
Cool. This is good. Streaming Yard is cool.
It works
You're
really well. It makes the incompetent look competent while running a live stream.
Right. You are, though. Okay, so Streaming Fast, that's the brand we put out for Ethereum first, but also as the play to decentralize, because we've identified this data to be the most important thing to provide in a decentralized way. And the goal is we've started with streaming. This is the best solution there is in the industry right now, and the fastest for streaming data out of a blockchain network, right? And this starts with instrumenting nodes and providing a stream in an architecture that is streaming first and racing to provide data to external parties. So these are people who who were using this software, using this platform, and there's a bunch of them who are not there. We have great partners. And okay, so first element there, we've always strived to make it simpler. And some of our customers, they come out and say, look, I was able to remove 90% of my code. That's some time of development, right? To handle all the intricacies and edge cases in blockchain, the reorganization, reliability when you're querying some load balanced nodes. And so they were literally able to cut down 90%, 90. That's crazy, right? I was really happy to put that there because it's true, and the guy told us that. So, and right, the way we're sending a stream of data that contains everything, like we've seen people use that to get an edge on how many Web3 calls are doing. Because what people do, they receive a new block saying, oh, this Uniswap reserve has changed. There was a new event, or I received an ERC20 transfer. I'm observing a transfer. Now, what does that mean? What's my new balance? Oh, no, I turn around, query the chain, and query the chain for the two accounts. But now there's all sorts of problems of calls being out of sync, right? You don't know if you're querying the right node. Is he late from 2 blocks? It's not the right balance for the right block. All that is really cumbersome. And I've seen people send millions of calls just because they need to have all that data. Well, in this stream, you get all of the data. You can have the information about all the updated balances, the previous balance, the next balance. So you don't need to turn around and go and hit. So when you're adapting and using that stream, you have extremely faster reliability. And also, it can simplify your trading algorithms. That's what we've observed, right? If we use that, all of a sudden you just get extremely consistent data. You get it 3 seconds before. So that's pretty cool, I think.
It's definitely an edge. Alex, can you call out, I think you've been sort of doing this already, but can you call out what are some of the common issues that we as users run into that you're solving for here?
Right.
Because, builders will clearly understand this and be excited about that. But, I, as an end user, I'm trying to think of some things that I've assumed you're solving for, just delays on, I go to prompt a transaction, let's say on Uniswap or Zapper Exchange, and let's say that there is a 3-second delay between me clicking that and being prompted through Meta. Right. I'm wondering, am I assuming correctly there? These are some of the things that get sped up just by by using this.
So that product here is about mined data. So data that is produced and available in the network. And I've skipped it here a little bit, but it's reliable in the way that it's cursored, so it's a simplified access. But that's for mined data, I would say. Mm-hmm. The other aspect you're talking about is mostly regarding the other solution I was talking just before, which solves those issue of not knowing where you are. You send a transaction. What happened? Is it a scene on the network? Is it what's going to be his side effect? The side effect of the transaction, is it settled? Yeah. That's when I go as a user on sites and I don't get a feel like I transferred $16,000 and I don't have any feedback. I'm scared, right? The emotion is not good. The association with my experience and the fact that I've sent money. So these endpoints allow you to track transaction and plug that as a developer really simple into a widget saying, okay, it's red, or then it's yellow, or then it's green. And when it's green, it means X, right? But you have all the information and you can decide how to present it. And it's extremely simple for a developer to integrate. So I think this can build much better user experiences. And even the speculative execution, we're seeing some wallets that have, like you receive a transfer, $15 million, and you will get that in your wallet, but your wallet doesn't know it, maybe because it comes out of the execution of a smart contract, and it's a side effect. It's not directly a transfer. It's a side effect of something else. Well, before it's mined, you don't have a clue about that. Now, that's 15 seconds on Ethereum. Now, on some other chains, might be less important, but what we've observed is on Ethereum, because of that block time, and other chains also that have larger block times, well, the experience can be improved, and those endpoints do improve it in the simplest way. You think that helps? That can be helpful?
It does. Absolutely does. Yeah, no, thank you so much.
Yeah. So I guess maybe I can talk about, so that was for streaming fast here. This is very low level details. One of our goals though is to, okay, so you know what, there's a problem. We can shut down the screen sharing. If I shut,
there we go. There we go.
There you go. Look, one problem I see is that chains are growing and growing in size, and they're becoming more and more difficult for people to get the data. It's always crazy to think that it takes 2 months to process some blockchains if you want to have access to that public data. Like where it says that it's public data, so it's easy. But the thing is, the cost is becoming increasingly prohibitive to get that public data. So what we're seeing is a way to provide the data in a verified fashion. That is what we're trying to solve with the decentralized version of this software. The software is well built, well tested, and it's serving customers right now with, actually, one thing I like to point out is that in a actually vetted business model. Some people, did an ICO and they said, look, we're going to have a business model. We're going to decentralize this. But once you have a decentralized business model, it's extremely difficult to change, right? So what we did, we actually went through different iterations and vetted the unit economics with real customers that are paying for the service. And we figured out the best way to pay for that service, right? It's a metered way, and it just fits very beautifully with how people would consume. Think of the graph, right? You would consume queries. Well, there's unit economics because they need to run servers and whatever. And so what we're doing is we're taking that business model, which we sort of pre-vetted in a non-decentralized way, and then decentralizing, making available for the whole community to first validate the data and then also serve it in a way that can be massively parallelized. So if you want blockchain data, you won't need to process a node for 2 months, put engineering power. You will be able to just download it right away. And so we're using some of these techniques in our systems because it allows us to be back on our feet in minutes. We reprocess whole blockchain histories in 20 minutes because it's about the data. The data is separated from the blockchain nodes, and then this therefore powers or can power. And that's, I think, where it reaches your audience here. Sorry if it was a little bit too deep for this part, but it allows, it powers, it can power, and it does, a whole new world of applications, of blockchain data-based application. So think about, if you go to info.uniswap.org, you have some information there, but you have some sort of history. You want predictive analysis being there. You can start a company and then build on, because you'll have access to the data, validated and proper. So, and then if you want, other sort of experiences, thinking of historical graph dashboards to understand your positions here and there that update extremely fast, because they're going to be fed from a really fast source, but also be the most complete. And also, I'm thinking any data product's going to help build the ecosystem, value the data again. So what's happening on the chain, right? If you can value it. Think of Google, what they did in the past. They were crawling websites, right? They were crawling websites and they built a product out of that, crazy product out of that. But think of, if the data of blockchain was easily crawlable, then you could see a crop of new companies building on top of that easily crawlable data. It's not the case today. It's not easily crawlable. You can't do that. But if we can take the blockchain's data, extract it, make it crawlable, then we see bloom just really a new era of products, of applications that become possible. Does that make sense?
No, it does. It's really interesting. No one's ever talked to me about just about the context of all of this. So it's really interesting. I'm curious. So the way that you've built dfuse right now, it is a centralized company. Is it possible for you all then to decentralize eventually? And without going to anything that would be, I guess, confidential, just wondering, like, is there anything that folks should look forward to that are interested in being involved in the dfuse community?
The goal of decentralization there is to give the technology and build an ecosystem, an incentivized ecosystem of people who are then going to produce that data, verify that data, and serve it to the world at extremely low costs. That's the goal, to make that data crawlable at extremely low cost. We don't want that to be solely in the hands of Googles of this world, right? That have all the power, and then they can easily process things, and then they have an edge on building those products. No. We want the community to be part of this. So, of course, that means decentralizing, figuring out the right token economics, spinning off a new token offering, and people, joining and do validating, and also switching from our provider to a decentralized provider. You can think of the graph this way, right? They've done great strides into showing that sort of model. Yeah. So this layer here of data is just underneath the graph, right? You have blockchains, data separated. Actually, I think such an architecture is a great fit for the graph to lower their costs, feeding from data that is actually less costly rather than them running larger nodes and going faster to different blockchains, because people will separate the concerns, right? We provide the data for the chain, you index the data of the chain, and then you obviously have economics that make the system work. But some of these we've already vetted in the real world, and now we're going to put that in the decentralized world, which has different dynamics, of course. But the technology is there, so we're figuring it out. So if you want to stay tuned, or if you're interested into that, you can go to streamingfast.io, and maybe we want to put that in the little bar there because you're good at it.
Here as well.
Streamingfast.io. Streamingfast.io is just all together, and you can ask to talk to us, and we can see how that could be positioned. This is very early, right? At the same time, the tech is there and the business model is vetted. So for us, maybe it's just a matter of cobbling out a few things, and we have people that are experts at blockchain, and so we can roll that out pretty fast. At the same time, we want to gather interest. So I think this is a great tribune to try to see position that.
Alex, so the recent network congestion, or aka high gas prices, I'm curious, how does that affect dfuse, if at all? I was just wondering if it's had any effect on your business model, or at least future plans.
So we see that as opportunities. It's always been my belief that there wouldn't be just one chain. We're going to see a lot of chains, and we're seeing today layer twos, and I've always been very interested in. We have code for bridges that uses the technology that I've shown you there, streaming fast tech, because what a bridge needs is listening on a chain here, listening on a chain there, and doing some things, right? Minting, burning, doing some cross-chain operations. These are the most efficient,
That's the best explainer I've heard of a bridge. I like that, listening here and here and doing stuff in between. That's good.
And the stream that we're providing there gives exactly that. Gives exactly all of the data we need. And we're seeing to answer your question, I see opportunities there, because the moment there's a layer two needs to communicate back and forth, and they need that data. They need exactly that. And some of them, which we're discussing with, they're doing roll-ups, they're doing some external, execution of things, bringing back on chain. And oftentimes they will need data that is not available when they're querying the chain. You can't query what is the internal call to this contract, what was the bytes on the call from an internal transaction. You can't query that unless you enable parity trace and all that. The goal here is to democratize that layer, have that data being validated, and therefore it's sort of the only way for a layer two that seeks to be decentralized to rely on that intermediate layer that provides the data in a decentralized fashion. It wouldn't work if it were centralized, right? But all of a sudden, the second protocol can now rely on these data that is not covered by the nodes to now be made available and empower things like chain mirroring. So that's something I'm pretty excited, because like, imagine you're on Ethereum and you have NFTs or you have some balances of such tokens, and that is unidirectionally mirrored on another chain. And the other chain, you can't sell, trade, you can't, only thing you can do is synchronize from mainnet. So anything happening on mainnet is reliably available here. It means you can bring some of the network effect on side chains or other chains, right? Because your contracts can now rely on the fact that you own an NFT or that you have a certain balance, consider that as staked or whatever, to take action on that side. So for that, you need a reliable stream of data that is going to, replicate the state over there. So that's, that solution is exactly that, absolutely fitting. So to your question, how do we see those congestion? I see people going to other chains, and this cross-chain communication means there's a growing need for that exact technology.
Interesting. Does any of this that we're talking about relate back to, I'm going to really demonstrate how ignorant I am to Binance Smart Chain. Binance Smart Chain has had some issues, I understand, like in terms of like infrastructure issues. I'll let you explain what that is, but yeah, I'm like wondering if what we're discussing relates back to that. Like something is it out of sync in terms of the blockchain data? Like, anyways, and now I'm going to
block explorer, the block explorer that just out of sync with the rest. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Well, there was that, and I just remember it was like something was behind. Someone was trying to explain this to me, that it was behind, and I was like, I don't understand the ramifications of all of this. Like, what is this affecting? Because I did understand, like, if you have your assets already on Binance Smart Chain, you're good to go. I mean, they can continue to transact. Right. It seemed like there were especially issues with the bridge, which the bridge is just centralized exchange. It's not a trustless bridge. So forgive me, this could be totally off topic, but some of what you were explaining, it sounded related to what someone was trying to explain to me about BSC.
So I'm not sure exactly what happened on the BSC chain there. Although, having better data allows a lot more people to build diverse infrastructure to connect things. Now they've built a bridge, but doesn't mean someone else cannot build a better bridge that uses better decentralized mechanisms. And something I'm seeing with that technology is that as we bring that for one chain, two chains, three chains, and we're concentrated just on the data layer, building a bridge on that technology means now you're going to in and out of all chains, right? You'll just configure a small software, listen there, take action this way, take action that way, and you're bridging things, and then you make that little thing more or less decentralized depending on needs, right? And so that's what I'm seeing, and that's why I see also that infrastructure layer, or we could so call, or the data layer. To me, it's the data, right? Because you can have, if it's cheaper, you can therefore run a bridge much cheaper, and it's still secure. That's a critical aspect of it. That data that we extract from chains need to be secure, therefore have validators with incentive structures that will make that they're not going to lie if the data goes to a second layer chain to say it's not the same state. So that needs to be secure, but that provides great value in and of itself for people to build upon.
Awesome. No, thank you. I think you of course corrected me there. No. I need to do more homework on it. Alex, easier question for you. What have you learned from doing your family vlog that's helped you to, market and I guess build community with dfuse? Like, very curious, like what's transferable in terms of that skill set?
Well, so right? I think people appreciate, especially in the blockchain space, where a lot of let's say earlier, perhaps, a lot of the activity was made by faceless individuals, right? It could be miners. Have you seen the face of a miner? I don't know. I've never seen the face of a miner. They don't need to be public. No. But in POS chains, there's more reputation. There's more, being present. And the fact that we were positioning ourselves with our faces actually, I think, had a crazy impact. We hadn't realized it wasn't large numbers of viewers. But when people came to stake, was incredible. We had the largest diversity of stakers, not just whales, right? But also the populares, like the people, because there's that trust that is conveyed by an actual face talking about things that, oh, I can trust that better. He's not, like, I don't know. There's something about human interaction, I think, passes in video.
It's seeing someone, and we're not advocating if you see someone on a YouTube video, it doesn't mean you can trust them, especially in crypto, but it does help. There's almost like a consistency around building that community, especially now that everyone is, I mean, a lot of the world is working remote, or more of the world's working remote than ever before, just due to the pandemic. So yeah, it's weird to think back to early 2020, but I feel like it was a blessing in disguise for the crypto DeFi communities, because at the end of the day, I think it eliminated a lot of stuff that wasted people's time, undue travel, going to conferences. Now I feel like everyone can just focus on, what's in front of us and continue to, build as aggressively as possible. So, oh shoot, I need to get the one thing. Let me fix the dfuse handle here. Alex, just one more question for you. Oh no, go ahead. Sorry, what were you saying?
I was saying, go ahead, ask it. If people have comments, also don't.
Just was curious if there was anything else that we haven't covered today that you think folks should understand about dfuse, or just generally the infrastructure space that you're building in.
I guess, like I've said most of it already. I think that if there's one thing to remember, having done comparison, I think it's clear today that we have the fastest solution out there. And I think that can be meaningful for some people that are interested in the space. It is the fastest by several seconds, and it is the most complete in terms of data. So, I mean, I've said that already. I think that's critical. I think it's really in an edge, because people right now, like as it's refining, people are looking for an edge, right? They're looking for something to differentiate. Now, is it always going to be 3 seconds? I don't think so. It's going to close, but it's a massive advantage right now. And having also thinking speculative execution also is very distinct feature. So I guess you don't want to lose sight of that. That's on dfuse.io in our documentation. You'll see for Ethereum transaction state tracker. If you have questions, by all means, reach out to us. And we have a great customer service. Like sometimes we do a lot for our customers, and that's reflected in our customers. They talk about it often, about that customer service. Anyway, so yeah, come to us. And the other thing is about that streaming fast decentralization. If you're interested in that, let us know, because that will go fast. We'll need to go fast, and we will want to go fast to bring that layer to the next era, and allow a lot of people to be incentivized to build the next great apps and provide, good experiences for people on those blockchain things, which have not always been the case, but we're seeing that the space mature, and that will be a contribution to it, I think.
Yeah, I think my key takeaway is many of us don't realize like how much better the user experience is going to, and that is that's encouraging, because if you've been in this space for even just a few years, you can appreciate what's already been improved upon. But for friends that are coming in fresh to DeFi, I recognize we still have lots of hurdles to overcome, DeFi, crypto in general, and it's that like it's just the old saying of like, well, you got to be patient, I'm telling you, if you hang out here for 6 months, you'll be amazed at everything that's being built. And I know myself, I guess, like I'm a little biased, like we're working on Zapper, but I think about all the products that we keep releasing and all the features and updates, and yeah, if people only knew, I'm like, there's so much going in to creating a better experience that really mirrors the Web 2 experience, where you click and it's a few 100 milliseconds, and you're seeing you're seeing something in front of you that confirms that, yes, the transaction has gone through. Except in this case, because we're using blockchains, it's actually settling in real time versus, what we're used to in the old world of traditional finance. But Alex, thanks so much for your time. This was great. I want to remind everyone, we've shown this a million times, but you can go to dfuse.io, especially if you're a builder interested in using dfuse. You can follow Alex and dfuse. These are the handles on Twitter. And then the other website we talked through is streamingfast.io. But yeah, no, Alex, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you staying much longer than we anticipated.
I appreciate it. It's always fun.
Awesome. Well, everyone, if you're back tomorrow around 12 p.m. Eastern, we're going to interview Robert Leshner from Compound Finance, and we're going to talk to him about the interoperable blockchain they're building called Gateway, that's meant to be complementary to the money market protocol that is Compound. So that'll be really interesting. And just a reminder, subscribe at tv.zapper.fi, wherever that is. There we go. And don't forget to try Zapper at zapper.fi. So on that note, stay safe, and thanks again, Alex. Take care, everyone. Bye. Oh, where'd it go? There we go.